Hi, this lady you're looking at is Sarah Champion. She used to be a Labour MP in the town of Rotherham. Rotherham in Yorkshire has been beset with this grooming problem. This is grooming. Grooming is a silly name given to try and cover up the fact that men of a certain ideology are told in their holy book they have the right to take all our girls and women. This is the fact of the matter. This is what it says in their Q and their H's. Of course, we're not supposed to know this because we are all inferior animals under this same ideology. Yes, this lady is a very brave lady. As I say, she's been an MP in Rotherham, and no sooner as she got into the job, she started hearing that this grooming problem, where thousands, literally thousands of 10, 12, 14-year-old girls are targeted relentlessly, and as the Telegraph said, for industrial scale rape. This is what the Telegraph called it a few years back. Yes, and anyway, this woman, being a champion by nature as well as by name, she felt obliged to open her mouth. Being a Labour Party MP, who are all supposed to do with justice and supposed to believe in human rights and equality and all that, she felt obliged to actually say something, and she did in the Sun newspaper. Here we go. This is what she said, and quite rightly too. You know, British Pakistani men are raping and exploiting white girls, and it's about time we faced up to it. Well, I thought they already had in Rotherham, but you see, they're all still carrying on this cover-up game. Oh, it's a religion of peace. They're all beautiful people. They wouldn't harm our girls. It's the girls' fault. Yeah, they led them on, or what have you. You know, 11 years of age or something. Yeah, they led them on. It's not these nice men's fault. How is it not? I mean, look at the age of some of them. These are the guys who've been raping like 12. This is Newcastle, but they've been raping like 12 and 14-year-old girls. Some of them are in the 60s. I saw a case the other day where a 65-year-old had been raping a 13-year-old. For real. That wasn't in Rotherham, but that was in Manchester somewhere. But it's their right. In their ideology, it's their right. The sad point is that Sarah Champion, who felt obliged to do this little article in the Sun, and which certainly for Labour Party is really quite shocking. I'll probably put a couple of stills in so you can read it, or a link. For far too long we've ignored the race of these abusers, and worse, we tried to cover it up. Well, if you don't think they have tried to cover it up, Google Sarah Wilson, Rotherham, and she's actually written a book about it. How she had to have 13 years of age, she was broken in by a smelly Muslim in the back of a car, and she was expected to have sex with 20 or 30 men. And if she said no, you know, she was going to get a good punching, or she was going to get threatened with a knife to her throat. And I think it meant, here we are, Sarah Wilson, here she is. I did a video about this a while ago, and of course it got took off against community guidelines. Nice, shocking. Yeah, this is Sarah Wilson, who was a victim at 12, 13. You know, it's shocking, and it went on until she was 16. Shocking. You know, this is okay under their ideology. You see, they've got the right to do this, and as we see in Rotherham, at least 1,400 girls were abused. It was a lot more than that. It was probably closer to 3,000, 4,000, but they were just the ones that came forward. Most of them just had terminations and tried to get away from the abuse and wanted to get on with their life. Probably, you know, get a job and find a young man, and like anybody else does. But this poor woman was forced to resign, and she was replaced by a darker skinned lady called Naz Shah. And Naz Shah has been seen, very vocal MP, been telling off and asking questions of Facebook and Twitter, and especially YouTube's American rep in the UK, you know, for daring to put on what they call far right. Well, far right is anyone that criticises this ideology or the behaviour of these men. Yes, they're all beautiful people, even though they're attacking, and they have killed some British girls. This is a fact. Even though they're attacking British girls, Yeah, it's not their fault. No. It's all down to the victims, as the police said. This is what the police did numerous occasions. There was one case, notable case, I did a video on the other day. A 12-year-old girl was found drunk in a derelict house with 5 of these abusers. 5 of them, and some of them were in the 40s. And you know what the police did? Instead of calling for backup and throwing a whole lot of them in the back of a van and arresting them for child exploitation or sex abuse or whatever, it was easier. They arrested the girl and they let all the men go. I don't think they even took the names. Shocking, isn't it? So, strangely enough, this very same paper, The Independent, which slated Tommy Robinson and Britain First, absolutely slated him. He's actually done this. This Sean O'Grady has actually done an article saying, oh, basically it was all her fault. How could you dare say it was anything to do with Islam? You know, I find it very hard to believe this guy's name. Are you sure it's not Sean Ahmed or something? And this is what he said. Of course, Sarah had a point about tiny numbers of men. Tiny numbers, yeah. Scores at least. Tiny numbers of men of sometimes Pakistani heritage or origin. Well, it's about 70%. Yeah, being involved in vile sex gangs. She should have taken Islam as a religion specifically out of the debate. But it's Islam that tells them they have the right to do this. You idiot! I mean, how much are you on to do your research? Well, obviously, we saw with that James Fielding in Tenerife that was accosting Tommy. You don't do your research. You know nothing about this ideology. You know nothing about the people. You know nothing about their rights. You know nothing about the beliefs. There's Sarah again. So although Sarah is plainly, you know, a committed Labourite, Corbynite probably, you know, I'd have to say I really admire her for taking the chance of coming out and saying this. You know, when it was in front of her, instead of just burying it, putting her head in the sand like the other Rotherham councillors must have been doing for some years. Yeah, it's still going on. These Rotherham abuse gangs, there's been cases where they've actually picked up the girls from the school gates. Generally, I was reading a case just before, and they get the girls that want to get out of it. Sometimes they pay them or give them favours to actually get new recruits, new 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. So I'd have to say that Sarah Champion is not really a member of the floppy left. That's what she calls them. Quite an apt term, isn't it? Sarah Champion attacks the floppy left. Well, even Corbyn was so floppy, he jumped on the bandwagon to get her sacked. Yeah, Jeremy Corbyn and his cohorts, who've been accused of being anti-Jewish, anti-Christian, anti-Jewish, and basically anti-white. He joined on the bandwagon. He didn't have one word to say in support of this woman. So that's how much we can, especially the white people here, the natives, that's how little you can trust Jeremy Corbyn. He's a right-thinking, morally grounded, morally right woman, stands by her principles and speaks out on it. And what does Jeremy Corbyn do? Jumps on her with both size 10s. Both. She's fired now. God knows. I hope she gets a job of a newspaper or something. If I ever round up Yorkshire, if I see her, I'll shake her hand. I'll tell you that, I really will shake her hand, because you won't find me very often taking my hat off to Labour, certainly recent years, for very much at all. Not since the NHS was established, at least. But on this case, I would really like to shake this woman's hand for acting on her principles, doing the right thing, and actually trying to do something to acknowledge this problem so it can be stopped. This Sean O'Grady guy, also, he actually says, and it'd be wrong to try and tackle the madrasas, and that's a ridiculous idea in the mosques. Ridiculous idea, but that's where all these beliefs come from, matey. That's where it's the holy writings and the madrasas that tells them they're the masters of the world, the rightful masters of the earth. How supremacist is that? So we're just slaves. We're here to be their sex slaves, or to do their bidding, or to wipe their ass for them, not with their fingers like they do, and they're the masters of the world. That's how supremacist it's always been. So, Sarah Champion, for all I've never met yet, I will take my hat off to you. You are a champion. You're a champion. You try to be a champion for the girls of your constituency. See you guys.